Alrighty, howdy. I'm Cameron. I don't just read comics, I love them. And welcome back to another episode of Cameron Reads Comics. Today, I thought it'd be kind of fun. I'm trapped in a hotel room for work and I'm just bored on YouTube. So I thought I'd record something for you. I've been like stumbling across like these like comic book couples counseling videos, like where they're in the stacks and they're doing their kind of Criterion collection review of comic books. I found another one from Walt's Comic Shop, which is a European comic book shop, of Chip Zdarsky kind of talking about some of his most influential books. So I thought it was really cool. I thought I'd want to watch it with you guys because I think there's a point in comic book fandom where you start following your favorite creators more than you even follow particular characters. So Chip Zdarsky is one of those guys for me. I think all of his indie comics are wonderful. I think that his tone and storytelling overall is really incredible. So wanted to talk about what he's reading so that I can read it, you know? Who's your favorite comic book writer's favorite comic book? So, yeah. So let's hop into this. Alrighty, so look at this thumbnail. That's how that got me right there. Okay, the comics that changed everything. I want to know his favorite comics. So here we go.
Oh, hi there. My name's Chip Zdarsky. I'm a comic book writer and artist, and I'm a YouTuber, diarist. I do a lot of things. Magazine publisher, lover. Anyways, I work for Marvel, DC, Image, the comic companies. And today I'm here at Walt's Comic Shop, and I'm in their stacks to talk about three comics.
This is just on a video editing level, by the way, I think this is such a clean look, such a great video. I'm like getting inspired by all of this, and the background music, it's perfect. Walt's Comic Shop, just great work, guys.
Inspired me, and one that currently inspires me. So yeah, let's go. All right, first up, I had to pick the heaviest one. It's Justice League International. This is the Omnibus, Volume 1. This is a series very near and dear to my heart, and kind of informs all my work. Is the run by Keith Giffen, Dan DeMatteis, and Kevin McGuire, and then an assortment of artists beyond Kevin. And it was during a period at DC where Justice League was not the hottest brand. And so they decided to do something different. And they hired these guys to make a new comic that was more humor-based, almost like a situational comedy, featuring a lot of characters that people just didn't really know about back in those days, like Booster Gold, Blue Beetle, Guy Gardner from the Superman movie, and anchoring it Batman, because obviously you need Batman. And what I loved about this series was its heart. It felt like a family book. Its humor, it made me laugh every issue. And the fact that it always would go deep and heavy and serious at points and would throw you off. So that's a lesson I picked up, where if you have something be really funny, it makes the intense parts more intense. Like a comic that's all intense, I just can't get into it. But a comic that mixes it up, I think it's more impactful. And also it introduced me to the art of Kevin McGuire, who was probably the biggest inspiration when I started drawing. And his facial expressions were something so new and fresh, and I love it so much. Yeah. It's the one series that I would probably never take over, because I think
and he'll go on, but I think this is just such a great example of like the influence of this story on so many new creators. And I just listened to Sketched David Harper in his off-panel podcast talking to Josh Williamson, and I think that we're in such a unique era of these are the books that are inspiring the modern writers that we have, because these are the books that they were reading when they were comic book readers, avid comic book fans when they were younger. So obviously that's why we see this huge wave of, especially like Josh Williamson Superman with Superboy Prime, and the return of the Reign of the Superboys in lieu of Reign of the Supermen. Like, we're seeing this influence. But on that podcast that David Harper did, Josh Williamson talked about how important this series was, and like especially Keith Giffen's influence on someone like Tom King, where everyone is thinking Tom King is referencing Alan Moore, which he is, frankly, like, all the time, and in a great way. I love Alan Moore, but nobody's acknowledging the inspiration that Keith Giffen has on someone like Tom. And so I really, love to see this book get its flowers. One, I haven't read it. I've only read a handful of issues, and they've been really great. Specifically, issue 5, where Batman punches Guy Gardner. If you know, you know. So to see and hear Chip talk about this like this, and the influence that it has on him, very special. And I think that what his takeaway in the story is versus, and I think what Chip's takeaway in this is really, really interesting to see. So love to hear this book in this context, and like the way he balances heart and humor and seriousness. Oh, I love it.
It was already done perfectly, and I don't want to ruin it by touching it. Because I did a book called Justice League Last Ride, kind of an out-of-continuity book. I made a very...
It's a great book, by the way. I love that book. I think everyone should read it.
Very conscious choice to not ape this series, because, again, I couldn't come close to it. So I made it a bit more kind of serious, kind of featuring, the classic Justice League characters revolving around the animated series. So, yeah, if I'm doing a Justice League book, it's not going to be Blue Beetle or Booster Gold, but, talk to me in 5 years when I'm desperate for work.
He's the best. He's the best.
Okay, so what's next is actually kind of very similar. So, I'm kind of dumb for picking both of these. It's The Incredible Hulk by Peter David. Again, this hit me at a point in my life where...
I also just want to say that Peter David's influence is like only creeping in more and more on some of my favorites. So this is like probably the third example where Peter David has like had a very relevant impact on a writer that I adore. Josh Williamson mentioned him, and he's the other one too. So
I guess I was just craving kind of comedy in my books, and not only that, but kind of deeper books that kind of went farther with the characters. And so Peter David, as a writer, did both of those things, and also just teamed up with some amazing artists like Gary Frank, Dale Keown, like that original run, and Todd McFarlane, some Canadian boy named Todd. Yeah, that original run really brought me into comics. Because at that point, I was like, kind of high school, and I was kind of like, maybe I don't really want these stories anymore. And then this kind of hooked me and brought me back in. I love this run so much. It was also the first time that I realized how important the art is to a book, because I stopped reading it once an artist came along that I didn't like. And I was like, why don't I like this anymore? Like, I love Peter David stuff. And I'm like, oh, the art is just as important. And it's a thing you don't really think about when you're a kid. Once that kind of hits you, it's like, oh, yeah, no, they both have to be good or I'm not reading it. So yeah, Peter David left us too soon. If you buy some of these, the royalties go to his family, I'm assuming. So yeah, I highly endorsed checking.
In his defense too, that Peter David run went on for 10 years. So to be subscribed to a single title for 10 years, I applaud you. Like, all you Day One Spawn fans, Savage Dragon fans, bravo. I haven't even been subscribed to Spider-Man for that long. So, and I like Spider-Man.
Just run. Let's see. Some other stuff that's inspired me. Daniel Clowes, 8 Ball. This definitely hit at a formative experience in my early 20s. I kind of had the path that a lot of comic readers had back then. Superhero stuff, Marvel, DC. Then Vertigo came along. Next thing you know, I'm goth. We all have that phase. And then I went to college. I couldn't afford books. Kind of fell off. And when I moved to the big city, I found a comic shop that was kind of alternative focused, and they turned me on to Dan Clowes. And man, like, once again, the theme seems to be humor, because there's a lot of humor and angst in Dan Clowes' work. And it also taught me that, comics don't have to just be one big story or a continuing kind of narrative over several issues. It could be a lot of things. Like, some of my favorite gags, Art School Confidential, in 8 Ball was that 2 pages long, 3 pages. A lot of great one-panel kind of gags, one-page gags. End up with stuff like Ghost World, which is in here as well, which blew my mind. It showed me how versatile a career you can have as a comic artist while still maintaining a style. There are definitely a few drawings I've done that look very much like Dan Clow's characters. So thanks, Dan, and I'm sorry.
That I'm sorry. I'm like, thank you for being Canadian, Chip. I love hearing that. Dan Klaus is a writer artist I've never read anything from, and it's funny because it's like he's so seminal, and like if I was to look up like in the New York Times like the greatest of all time, he's one of them that I haven't like ever been familiar with. And when I even got close, my local comic shop owner was like, honestly, Cameron, I don't know if that's for you. So I listened to him, and guess what? I bought something else because he knows I buy enough from him that he would know what I like. So I'll probably now try and check out 8 Ball, especially because it has that Ghost World influence. And I also want to see that 2-page gag. So that's how easily influenced I am. And now I'm just trying to do that to you guys.
So I was asked to pick something more recent that inspires me, but I don't want to pick anyone that I know or that's in the industry right now because I don't want them to get a big ego, and I don't want to promote anyone that isn't myself. So I went with some manga. A couple of years ago, myself and some friends started a podcast called Manga-splaining, where my more manga-heavy friends teach me about manga. We're reading something different every week. And this book came along by Taiyo Matsumoto, Ping Pong. And it was at this point I truly realized you can make a comic about anything because it's about ping pong players. And the North American comic market tends to be very much elevator pitch genre based. Like, oh, so this is like science fiction meets cowboys, or this is vampires meets superheroes, which I'm also guilty of. It's zombies, but it's in the steampunk. Whereas I've noticed like there was so much manga where it felt like it was just a creator just becoming really interested in something and then making a book about it. Whether it's about food or business or the radio or ping pong. And that really inspired me as a creator. So this is basically about like friends who kind of go through life together and are in kind of ping pong tournaments. And it's about becoming the best version of yourself and what that means for the people around you and your life. And weirdly, I always equate it to Batman Year One. Like if you're a superhero person, you love Batman Year One, you'll love this. It's got that kind of tension of starting out and building yourself up to be the best that you can be. And it's gorgeous. Every comic artist I send it to, they're just like amazed at the gesture work in here and how it really makes you kind of feel the impact of that little ping pong ball. So yeah, this inspired me to do my book Public Domain, the one that I write and draw for Image Comics, because I started to think, after reading all this manga, what do I love? What's my interest? And I had the sad realization that it is comics and it's the comic industry. So I made a book about the comic industry featuring kind of real people, and that's all thanks to the manga that I was reading and ping pong. Okay,
so I just want to say that I told Chip at Comic-Con that I think Public Domain is my favorite book he's ever done. I think it's an incredible. If you're a comic book fan, you need to go read it. It's incredible, and to know that it's influenced by ping pong, very cool. And like I have listened to a couple episodes of Manga-splaining, and it's a great podcast. I started listening to this one, and just hearing Chip like being so enthusiastic about a book after he just read it was really cool. But then to know that this became his favorite. You can make a comic about anything, and like I'm definitely going to read. So how influenced am I? 2 out of the 4 books, besides the other 2 that I want to read anyways, I already want to go buy and read because I just think it's so cool, and I'm not into manga, so to try something new.
So yeah, that's me. Those are just a few books that inspired me and inspire me today. And thanks to Walt's Comic Shop for having me out and letting me roam your stacks.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Alrighty, so this has been recap with Chip Zdarsky on what comics we should be reading and buying and what's your favorite comic creator's favorite comics. So Those are my thoughts. Make sure to go follow Walt's Comic Shop. I'm going to go do it right now, and I'm going to go check out a couple more of these videos. So, yeah, my name's Cameron. I'll just read comics. I love them. See you guys next time.